All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to the Spring 2022 Nevada, California Summit. So you're going to be getting a brief, or not a brief, but rather a lot of information regarding a lot of important topics for Phi Theta Kappa. So if you're new or you're a new officer, new member, this is a great place to get new resources and kind of just understand how to start planning the rest of the year. So for Phi Theta Kappans, the year is a little bit different than the academic year. It actually ends on January 2023. So the earlier you start on these, the sooner the better, because that gives you more time to plan and make sure that everything gets done and your chapter is able to reach the highest level. And we'll talk more about the levels in a second. So we kind of did this icebreaker, but if you want, you could put your name or your chapter and when you became a PTK member, and maybe something you hope to learn during the summit into the chat. That way we can all get to know each other. So first we want to go through the big picture. So the big picture is in Phi Theta Kappa, we're divided into divisions. As a part of the Nevada, California region, we are actually part of the Division 4. And so we had a recently elected international officer for Division 4 at the most recent Catalyst. And so our region is pretty big. And if you were to attend a international event, you'll get to know people from all around the world, even actually all around the country. And we're even expanding into the international realm. So there's people from around the world as well. And so, yes, Division 4. So the Nevada, California region, I'd really recommend you check out our website to learn more about our region. We have a lot of the resources that we'll be talking about at our regional website, including the regional projects that we'll be discussing later. Our region is pretty big. I believe at the last Catalyst, it was reported that we have around 84, 86. I forget if it was 84, 86, but it was around 80 something chapters between our two states. So we are considered a pretty big region. And I'm really proud of our region. We do present really great work as well. And huge shout out to our alumni team, because our alumni association won the Distinguished Alumni Association at the last Catalyst. So again, we are quite an amazing region. So I now like to pass it to one of our regional officers, Anthony, who will be talking to you about the the Honors in Action project.
Thank you, Jesse. Yes, so my name is Anthony Leon Chipitasi, and I'm one of your regional officers, specifically for the Northwest District. Now, today we're going to be talking about specifically honors and actions. So there is a quote specifically from Susan Edwards that says, Jesse, can you move it? Thank you. That basically says to provide opportunities for college students to grow as scholars in leadership. Now, you may be wondering a little bit, why is this, right? Well, this is what we're going to be talking about throughout the whole honors and actions, kind of supporting this. If we can go to the table of contents, we're going to be talking about what is HIA, specifically honors and actions, how to conduct the undergraduate research, and advice for the best honors and actions project ever. And we're also going to be talking about the rubrics, right? This is how it's going to be graded when you're going to be presenting your honors and actions, right? And then your honors and actions hallmarks awards questions also. Now, every year we have our honors and actions specifically. You'll usually also get your honors study guide. And last year was a different theme, and this year is going to be the theme of play. Now, in these specific honors study guides, we first get instructions of how each kind of stages we're going to be at, right? So first of all, creating your reading specifically essays. Now, why do I say essays specifically? So each honor study guides would have essays, specifically 7, which would be your theme. And these themes are going to be something that you're going to be writing about, right? You're going to pick one theme out of all these 6 essays, and you're going to be focusing on these things, right? So HIA, or honors and actions, is we want to think globally and act locally. And we do this because we want to help our community. And we want to basically answer one of those 6 themes that correlate with one of the things that we want to help our community about. Now, if we go to the next specific slide, we will basically see kind of not a rubric, but kind of like steps to guide. So this, you can basically find this in the PTK website, specifically if you search in for honors HIA for 2022. And this would kind of give you steps. Again, first of all, reading specifically the essays, right? After you read your essays, create your question, right? After reading your question, then do literature review. Then do a little bit more review, do more analytical review, and then go into your action portions. Our action portions being a little bit more of what have your research shown and what are you going to be testing out, and then writing our specific write-up for what your project is. Now, I know it's a little bit fast, so we're going to go more in detail a little bit later. Now you'd be wondering a little more, okay, what is honors and actions a little bit more? So for the next slide, it is basically an informed action. So what we kind of want students to kind of get in or kind of take is the opportunity to learn. So you're going to pick a topic, right? Maybe it is wildfire prevention, right? Maybe you saw that because of 2020 or 2021, you saw a lot of wildfires. Okay, that's the theme that you kind of want to do. You may be kind of novice at first, but at the end of that project, you may be a little bit more of an expert, right? And another thing that we want our members specifically to kind of get out of it is also career development. So you're going to be learning about leadership. You're going to be learning about collaborations and coordinations. You're going to be hopefully also collaborating with your school and even other outside organizations or outside events. And lastly, we also want you to have critical thinking. This is something that you're going to be growing up with because you're going to want to have different perspectives, specifically when you're writing these types of, when you're writing your essays and how you're going to be conducting your HIA. Now, how do we basically conduct our undergraduate research? Now, if we go to the next slide, we kind of first want to start by starting with brainstorming and research. And why is that? Well, after we read our essays, we kind of first want to brainstorm specifically how many ideas we want. And here we can go crazy. If we go to the next slide specifically, we kind of see that we want to create a place where we have creative freedom, self-expressions, and that every members can feel free to say anything. Again, at this early stage, there's no limit, right? Later on, we will be hopefully, tailoring down specifically what ideas we want, what theme we want to focus on to the point where we already have something and then start our research. But at this stage, this is how we want to start it. Now, I spoke about a little bit about advice for the best honors and action projects. What are these? Now, if we go to the next slide specifically, what we have is these bulletin points. So something that specifically, if you want to create a really good honors and action project, are these. Always create your agenda before every meeting, right? And always send them to your group, send them a reminder of the goal of what that agenda is going to be for that specific meeting. Because if we have a goal specifically for every meeting, we're going to be always on target. And other thing is to also create a Google folder specifically. I can't stress this also enough because this is going to help you a lot, right? So you may have members who not going to be able to join a specific meeting. Well, now they have a Google Drive where they can get a lot of resources. This can be your agenda, your academic sources, your honors and actions draft, your meeting notes, your recordings, and pictures. Now, you may be wondering, well, okay, all of this, but why? Well, specifically for the meeting notes is going to be really essential because first of all, if one of your members can't join, they can catch up by what are specifically the meetings for that event. But this can also be really essential for you in later on stages. After you're done your first steps to then going to the last stage of writing your hallmarks awards and kind of your entries, you may not remember everything. And taking notes earlier on, you will be able to be much more descriptive in how you're going to write in your essay. Again, you may know kind of like the why just about a topic that you probably talked about earlier on, but having these meeting notes, they can give you, they will basically elevate a little bit more your essay, giving more descriptives. Now, another thing that we want specific people to also do is look at the honors and action questions. Okay, so the honors and actions questions are basically going to be our honor study guide, specifically the awards, the themes of that, and also the Hallmark Awards. And we want to read this always because even from stage 1 to the middle stage to the last stage, as this will make you align to your target. Another thing is to ask several people to also read your honors and actions entry. This can be other peers, this can be your English teacher, this can be also your advisors. Because something that's kind of really important is the grammar and how you're telling your story. And you may lose points for that. So we don't want that. And We also want you to analyze your research before your actions. It's like, think before you speak, think before you act, that type of thing. And then at the end, always write as much as you can, specifically when you're writing your Hallmark Awards and your entries. There is a word limit, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later, but it's always better to have a lot and cut down instead to write more and more to meet a certain word limit. So these are basically the rubric. So we have our academic rigor of research. So this is the first rubric out of 3, which they're going to be asking you about your questions, objective, research, conclusion, and your academic sources, right? And all of these have points. And keep in mind, we have spelling and grammar here also. Now with the next slide, specifically, then we have our service in action. This is our middle stage, right? So the service that you're going to be giving to your community college or to your community itself, right? Your objective, your connections, collaboration, your communications, all in that. And again, spelling and grammar. Here are some of these points. Each one is going to be critically analyzed. And then we have our impact, right? Which is basically saying, how has your service and actions with the research impact your community, like the longevity and also short-term longevity, right? So the qualitative and quantitative outcomes from your research. And also here we have spelling and grammar. As you can see, it's kind of really heavily in spelling grammar. We want all of you guys to get as much points as you want, because sometimes deciding a winner specifically in an award, as we also have it specifically in the spring convention, can be a difference of just small points. And, you don't want to lose little small points about it. So if we go to the next slide, we'll be talking a little bit more about the academic and rigor of research. So you're going to need to present 8 academic sources. For me, my chapter, we had 15 sources because we kind of went nuts. But at the end, you can only have 8 academic sources. And with those 8 academic sources, they have to have a currency within the past 5 years. It's nice that you find, a specific evidence that can be in the 1980s, 1990s, early 2000s. But what we really want is the currency of, can it still be supported? Are there relevant research for it, right? You also want to be creating research questions, and you want your actions, your research to align specifically to the honors study topic. And lastly, to make sure you study your APA citations. This is how your academic sources are going to be kind of listed there. Something that I will be recommending specifically is when you're doing your specifically your research portion, always ask your librarian of a specific college to come by to your meetings so they can kind of guide you to your college specifically resources. That's what our chapter did. We got a whole meeting about it. And for me, I didn't learn too much for it, but I know a lot of my other members learned about it. And that's the thing. You may, as a person, if you may know a little bit more about someone else or something of a topic, but not everybody else, right? So we want to be inclusive of everyone learning. So if we go for the next one, we want to do the resourcefulness. And this is specifically how have you kind of gone into obstacles, right? And how have you solved them, right? So there are going to be obstacles that are going to be outside of your, domain, and hopefully you can solve them. And even if you don't, please describe them to us specifically. And what have you learned? There are cases where you will not be able to maybe test out your hypothesis because of X and Y, variables, but please describe that to us, right? And then we have some things that will deduct you points, which are did not show clear evidence of the chapter was resourceful in the ways it approached the academic research. And these are being exercise of leadership development, right? Now, what is this? If we go to the next slide, we're going to learn a little bit more. So these two basically mean is that not one person is doing all the work. Again, we want everybody to learn. So this is to provide every member a leadership opportunity and opportunity or personal growth, right? So if one person is taking a much more lead, think about it and how you guys can balance it out. It is a team effort after all. And other thing is to include and explain any educational training that the team has had. Remember in the beginning, I basically talked about opportunity to learn. This is basically the area about this, right? For my chapter specifically, we did wildfire preventions. We basically interviewed and helped out the fire department in our local area. And we learned about, fire preventions and all of this. And that's the thing that our chapter learned and how we kind of also exposed our community college in our district also about. So one, the audience that you're going to be targeting to, what they're going to learn, and also from your journey, what have you learned, also new skills and everything. And then also explore out of your own comfort zone. Maybe it's contacting an entity or something, right? The worst thing that can happen is a no, and the best thing that can happen is you get this whole support and whole support from a specific outside group. And lastly, we have a competitive edge count. So let's say you're still new to this specifically, and you kind of want to learn a little bit more and kind of assess your skills. PTK has a competitive edge course, which will help you on these types of skills. The competitive edge course is on the PTK website also. Now, for the next one, we're going to be talking about service in action, right? So again, this is the service, or this is basically your experiment in a sense, right? So after your research, now you're going to be looking at the actions that you can take, right? That can be sometimes workshops, right? So if you did a lot of research, you also talked to several professors of a specific subject, right, to learn more, and even interviewed and shadowed other things. Now you can do a workshop, and this is basically to for other people to learn from it, right? So for service and actions, we want to know, what is your motivations for the honors and actions project, right? So from the beginning, why were you so, interested in specific a certain topic, a certain issue? And what did you learn in your essay and actions project also? So again, ask yourself how your research could be incorporated into the actions. Your actions should reflect your research, and your research should or not your research should reflect your actions. And again, awareness to global issues, again, as we want to think globally and act locally. So for the next specific slide, we want to also talk about the cooperative efforts and outreach. So again, with your service and action, specifically, you will be basically collaborating maybe with your community college, your community, or a specific other outside entity, or it can even be both, right? And this is where we're going to be creating your collaborative skills and your coordinating skills, right? So this chapters reach a variety of audience, including the following: college, community college, and others beyond the region, right? So how have you specifically connected your community? Now, this could also be used as also with your impact, which is specifically once you have your action portion kind of ready, also think about your audience, right? Who are you going to be giving this information to, right? Or what can it be done? And for example, if you're doing a workshop, don't think necessarily of a student who is solely in one sort of topic that is only targeted to what the topic that you did. Always think about other students, or more broader, even outside your community college, to get that impact much more higher. Now, to the next slide, it is also about impact, and this is for the project made of substantial contribution to improving an issue. And if we go a little bit to the next slide also, then we're going to be learning about thinking globally and act locally, right? Who are the people your research directly impact? Your community, your neighborhood, your community college, right? May be helpful to look at analyticals and other numerical figures to get a sense of how large your impact is. So for example, again, workshop, right? You did a workshop, how many people attended? How many people from there did something to it, right? If you can get these numbers, it will definitely help out, also elevate your essay writing. And at the end also is we want to create an impact to our community, right? So research and actions had measurable qualitative and quantitative outcomes, contributions to long-term and short-term impact, right? So from one sort of event that you hosted, what is that short-term impact and long-term impact? So after that event, were people still following your guys' advice? Was there something from that to even, further that learning? How did you guys grow and develop as scholars and as chapters? Right. And then lastly, for the next slide, we're going to be talking about presentation, right? So for this, again, as I've spoken about it, grammar and consistency, this is how you're going to be writing your essays to put in entries. Because at the end of the day, once you put in these entries, you're going to be in the system to win an award, right? So to get recognized specifically for the work that you guys have done. And obviously don't lose points over these easy mistakes, and remember to proofread and edit. So the next slide specifically, we're going to be talking about honors and actions hallmark questions, where we're going to be showing the questions itself. So these are going to be basically the questions that are going to be asking you, provide a brief abstract summary of your actions, of your honors and actions, what theme and current honors projects guides, summarize your research objectives, describe your academic research info. And for the next slide specifically, we're going to be also, it's like, list the 8 academic, research, the academic citations that you had, summarize your project and actions, describe the service, and what are the qualitative and quantitative outcome. One thing I do want to recommend is with these questions, always try to highlight the action verbs and also what they're asking you for. So this is specifically so you can remember off the bat when you're looking at this, while you're in the beginning stages, middle, and end, what you're going to be answering. Because again, we may read a question, but we may not understand it fully. By doing this, we will hopefully understand it much more better. And in a sense, answer the question to our fullest capacity. Because if we don't, we will lose points. And we don't want to lose points. We want to get as many points as we want to get an award also, because we worked on. And yeah, so now you've probably also been wondering, okay, you talked about all of this. What is the deadline, right? Well, the deadline is on Wednesday, January 19th, 2022 at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I know it's a little bit, it's going to take a little more while to that deadline to be reached, but something that I would recommend specifically is always start soon as possible. If your group mates can start, over the summer to even do research, do it. That's something you're going to be talking about with your specific members, but if it's possible, you can do it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Anthony. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Anthony. Sorry, there was a typo here. It's 2023.
Yes,
because
sorry.
2022 was this year. But it tends to be due January 19th. But it could be like anywhere around the early January time. I would recommend you maybe have that ready at around sometime near December. That way you can have the few weeks of January to edit. So I'm not sure if the deadlines are released for the HIA in college project yet, but it's usually early January. So something to take note of. Thank you, Anthony. That was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Next up is Melissa with the college project.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melissa Padilla, and I am the VP for Nevada District. We're going to talk today about College Project, and we're going to start with a quote, and it's by Jennifer Stanford, and it reads, "Help members gain personal development skills and experience." So this is important because as Phi Theta Kappans, we all want to grow as professionals and continue to learn new skills and how to work as a team. So College Project will create an opportunity for you and your members to do all of those things while completing the College Project. If we go to the next slide, we'll have an overview. So the purpose of the College Project is designed to help your chapter develop positive relationship between your chapter and the college. What you'll do is you'll contact the college. Usually it's the college president who you speak with, and you guys sit down and you ask them, what do you need us to do? How can we help out? Is there something you need help with? How can our chapter be of service to the college? And you guys agree upon a topic or a task, and then you develop your project from there. And my chapter, when we did ours, we worked with the international students and helped them get more acclimated to the college and find, how to interact with people and mingle and socialize by connecting our chapter with other groups and clubs within the college. So if we go to the next slide. So you want to start now because, again, we run on a different calendar. So this will be due at the beginning of January, at the beginning of the year in January, just like the HIA project. So you want to start working on it now, at least have some idea of who you're going to contact and have that meeting sometime in the summer. So this way, when school does start, you can actually start with the action portion of your college project. You can start having meetings, you can have presentations, speakers come to your member meetings about what you're, on that specific topic, and just really be out there ahead of it before, the semester starts. And then one very important thing is to actually communication with your members and with the faculty, the stakeholders who you're doing the project for. It's very important to have consistent communication so everybody knows where you're at and how far you're coming. If you need anything, if you have to tweak anything, maybe something's not working as well as you thought it would. So it's good to just have open communication in any project that you do. Going on to the next slide. So just like with any other rubric, points are awarded based on how well you did and how well you meet that specific criteria for those points. So as you can see here, it can only be 1,200 words, and that's the entire thing. And the maximum score is 85 points. So you get a certain number of points for each preparation, leadership development, cooperative effort, and communication, impact, and presentation. And then you can see in the red box how points diminish if you're not meeting that criteria as well as you should have. Next slide. So these are some of the things that are very important. For preparation, you want to review the mission statement. You want to know what your college is about. This way you can help them to your fullest potential. You got to meet with your administration, which is usually the college president, have opportunities to discuss the ideas before the project is selected. So you don't want to just have one officer meet with the college president, because then you don't get input from everybody. And maybe it's a topic or something that not everybody is comfortable with doing. So you want to make sure that you guys all are on the same page. And that is why, again, communication is like the biggest, most important thing in any group project. And then with leadership development, you want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to have a leadership role. You want to make sure that everybody has the same opportunity to put in equally in the project. You don't want anybody to outshine the other person or somebody have like all the stress of the whole project on themselves. You want to do it as a group and learn how to work as a team. And it's good if you have someone, who can delegate tasks and make sure that everybody, is where they're supposed to be. Because if somebody is falling behind on something and maybe they're scared to just say that, it's important that you discuss that so the team can come together and relieve, the stress that's on them. Because things happen, life happens. And sometimes we just gotta say, hey, I might need a little help. And don't be ashamed to ask your teammates for help for that. Next slide. So cooperative effort and communication. So you want to demonstrate flexibility and creativity when you have a challenge or an obstacle. So like I said, if something's not working or, you thought one presentation, you're going to have so many people there, and then it turns out there's 2 people, you want to discuss that and with the team, figure out, hey, what can we do better? How can we make it more positive outcomes? What could we have done differently to make sure that we learn from it? And then, of course, again, like I said, make sure everybody has been given the communication about what you're doing and how far you've come and what you still have to do. So impact. This is
29 questions about Mike. Like,
can you
we
please
don't want to
mute?
see you. I'm a grown woman, okay?
Okay,
When y'all
so,
give people, I'm not going to answer 29 questions.
Yellows,
You
can
can
you please
just
mute
mute
your
that
mic?
I'm like, I don't
Hold
want
on, I'm
to
working on it.
going on with 29 questions. A question here and there, yeah, but don't ask too many. Now, I don't feel like
There we go. Okay, so impact is quantitative, also qualitative. So if you need to know what the difference between that is, quantitative is numbers. So this is how many people came to our resource fair. How many people did we give flyers to? That's what quantitative is. It's how many or how much of something. It's numbers. Qualitative is more descriptive data that can be interpreted. So that's like maybe you do a post survey about an event that you had and find out what people's feelings were about that event and how it impacted them. So that's the difference between quantitative and qualitative. And then you want to demonstrate how your chapter's relationship with the college was strengthened. We did a project, it was amazing. Now, how did us and the college become more united? How did the students become more united and feel more welcomed at their college? Next slide. So I totally recommend that you take time and you start early. So this way you can follow the rubric. You can take your time and write a good write-up, and then you're going to review and edit. You want to review and edit, and then review and edit, and then have somebody else review it, because sometimes we know what it's supposed to say, so we overlook maybe some words that should have been there or a word that should be changed because we're so used to reading it. So having another person review it, like a librarian or an English professor, that gives you a better chance of not having avoidable mistakes like commas and capital letters where they shouldn't be, things like that. So review, edit, review, edit, review, edit. I cannot express that anymore. Next slide. So when you write this up, you're going to describe your college project and how it supported the college's mission. Then you're going to describe the planning process. Who was involved? Who did you sit down with to come up with this project? And like it says here, you can use job titles instead of actual individuals' names if that's more appropriate for you. And then we want to know what knowledge and skills did the members successfully implement. Sometimes you can do some training and leadership development in certain areas to learn how to, successfully implement a college project. So just like Anthony said, you learn about what you're doing, and that is gaining skills and knowledge. And then how did the chapter carry out the project and communicate with collaborators? So again, communication is very important, and we want to know in the write-up, how did you communicate? Like, we sent weekly emails, we had meetings twice a month for however long the project took. That's what we want to know. And then again, the quantitative and qualitative outcomes of your project, and then describe how the project helped and strengthened your chapter's relationship with the college administration. Next. Next slide. Oh, thank you. And so again, just remember that this is usually due at the beginning of the year in 2023, and that will be like the second week of January. And that is it.
All right, thank you so much, Melissa. Hello. Okay. Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to welcome Hestia, who will be showing you all our newly published regional projects. So some exciting things we have to share with you all.
Thanks, Jessie. So my name is Hestia, and I am the VP of Technology. And you can go next, Jessie. Okay, so the regional projects are to help chapters become three-star chapter level for your school. You can at least complete the minimum 2 projects, so you can do all 7 projects. They're very simple projects. You would need to just send a paragraph from the email that's provided on the project through the regional website. Unlike the HIA or the college project, it doesn't need to have doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't have to be grammatically correct. we just want your chapter to be able to give back to the members and the community. This is the whole point of the project. And there are 7 projects, as you can see. There's Chapters United, Founders Day, Environmental Outreach, Community Project, Career Readiness Mentorship, Cultural Project, and Supporting Student Success. Go next. So Chapters United, the goal is to promote collaboration, communication between chapters within the region. So you connect with another chapter in the region, the NBC region. You can reach out through Facebook or Instagram or all of that, any of it. And you can see some of the examples, and the examples are things that you could do for your that you could do for the chapter. Next. And next is Founders Day. And Founders Day, the Founders Day goal is to celebrate the Phi Theta Kappa's birthday of when the organization was founded, which is on November 19th, 1918 in Missouri. Next. And this is the environmental outreach. Again, you can go on the NVCA website, the regional website, and see all of these regional projects. And they're located under regional, and then regional tab, and then you go down to regional projects when you go to our website. And the environmental outreach is to promote the environment in your area. So you can go plant and do community cleanup, beach cleanup, and all of that. Next. And next is community projects. Community projects is things that you could do in a community, like volunteering, food service for homeless, collecting socks for your community. And up next. And the career readiness and mentorship is for you to develop teamwork, communication, networking, time management, so you can be ready for the workforce, because not all of you will be going to a 4-year university. And if you do, at one point, you still need to get a job afterwards. You guys can have like a resume workshop together, or a mentorship workshop together, and you guys can type up a paragraph of what you guys learned. Next. And next is cultural projects. This one is to for your chapter to understand the diversity and cultural, like different cultures in your chapter. Next. And the last one is supporting student success. This one is you guys can have a parenting awareness, because there are non-traditional students that you guys can help in your chapter, and you can plan financial aid and scholarship workshops, or a yoga workshop for stress relieving. So this one is all about to support the student success, because at one point or another, everybody gets stressed out. And the point of the theme is theme of play. So, playing would help you move further. And that is it for me. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you so much, Hestia. I just want to make sure you guys, I got a new mic. I'm having fun here. So with the next two topics, which is the 5-star chapter development and the competitive edge, I want to make sure that you guys are all good with the questions. As I've seen in the chat, there have been a few questions about the PowerPoint as well as this recording. Yes, it will all be emailed out to you guys since you're all part of the Nevada, California region. And all of the information we're talking about can either be found on the PTK website or the our regional website. And so yes, these are the new regional projects. Huge shout out to all of our regional officers for their wonderful presentations. For the regional projects, just make note that our mentorship project from last year was removed and we added the cultural project and the student success project. So next up is the 5-star development plan. So as chapters, we want to reach the 5 levels of engagement at a local, regional, and international level. We want to encourage active participants from each chapter to really foster the development of their leadership, their communication, and their chapter success as a whole. So there are 5 levels. You can report your progress at ptk.org/5star. And I would really recommend checking out this poster that PTK created to help you reach that 5-star chapter plan. What our chapter did was we actually got a kind of like a copy from the Catalyst and we pinned it up onto our room that we use to meet. That way we know every time we go in there, what is our next goal? How do we reach the next level? So for 1-star, we're focusing on recognizing academic excellence and establishing chapter plans. We want to create awareness of PTK. You guys know about PTK, but do the other students that are eligible for PTK membership know about this organization? I've talked to a few events and they've said that some students think it's a scam or they're not sure if this is a real thing, but it is a real thing. And we do create a huge impact on all students because we're an honor society that has these honors in action projects, the college projects. The students don't know about that unless you go out there and let them know about it. So we have a recruitment plan that if you are able to reach a certain number of recruitment that's outstanding, you can actually win a Reach Awards chapter. You can be a Reach Awards chapter. And there's also recruitment tools on the PTK website that will be helpful for getting these eligible students to know about PTK. Then you want to conduct in-person or virtual meetings about the benefits, get these students to join, then hold an in-person or virtual induction ceremony. Then you will submit this to your chapter annual report, and you may need to review any chapter bylaws and necessary revisions to headquarters. So this is really about recruitment and getting these students to join PTK. So your 2-star level is organizing chapter leadership and engaging members. So now that you've already recruited these members, the next step is setting up your officer. So you want to report your new officers. Maybe one thing that I find helpful with this is maybe having a presentation where you can have your previous officers describe what they do in their role that can help the next officers. So maybe a PowerPoint, have them write a little bit about what they do. If you have another thing we like to do is we create new officer positions. So if someone says, I have this skill, but I don't see a position there for it. Well, maybe you can talk to your advisor, talk to your team. Maybe it's possible to create a position for that officer. So this is really about getting that chapter membership engaged in a way that everyone can be a leader. So again, with the membership recruitment campaigns, and holding a induction ceremony, those are all resources that you can find. You can ask your advisor. And again, I did not know about this until recently, but there is a membership recruitment package on the PTK website with information on how to recruit members. So getting involved at a regional level. Well, you guys are all here at the Nevada, California region's Spring 2022 on a Saturday morning. You're already involved at a regional level. So campaigning for regional office is one way to get involved at a regional level. Hosting a leadership role. So something that some people didn't know about, but when we have conventions, when we have conferences, we're looking for those chapters that want to get engaged, that want to take a big role. And we look for volunteers from chapters to actually help us teach some of the ed forms. So if you're interested in that, When it comes closer to the convention time, maybe you might want to email our regional coordinator and ask, hey, our chapter has this skill. We would love to teach this. We usually have a list of things to teach. We would love to be able to help and then be involved at a regional level at these conventions. So when you're participating in regional projects, you can be volunteering, you can be online collaborating, or just collaborating at an event, collaborating with other chapters. Another thing is your chapter advisor could be part of our regional advisory board and council, but I'm pretty sure there's specific instructions for those as our regional board. You might want to ask Ms. Moody about that. Ms. Moody is our regional coordinator. So of course, if you want to be involved at a regional level and you have further questions, I would really recommend emailing her because she will have the best answers to your questions. So you are at a regionally sponsored event right now. So there you are, you're involved at a regional level. So that is one example, but we do have the Fall Leadership Conference in the fall and the Spring Convention where we present awards that are both events that you can be a part of. Okay, 4-star. So this one's about college projects. So as we had mentioned earlier, the college project is one of the two most major projects of PTK. So your focus for the 4-star is completing that college project and building that relationship with your administration. There's one goal, primary goal in college project, and that is establishing a strong relationship between your chapter and college administration. And so this is a big focus in the 4-star level. And the 5-star level is the honors in action, getting involved at the international level. So I guess, yeah, so some examples for the honors in action are as Anthony had mentioned, kind of brainstorming and kind of getting that going. The honors in action takes a long time, but the most important part is completing it. So with this 5-star level, you want to make sure you have your project submitted and make sure you take notes on the deadlines. And then for international level, you can attend a Catalyst, you can submit an honors case study. A lot of chapters don't know about this, but there is an honors case study, which is like a mini research project. You can get at least 3 officers to do a PTK Edge, or you can also have 3 officers complete the Phi Theta Kappa's leadership development series studies. So make sure you have those projects submitted. That's the most important step for reaching the 5-star level, I would say. So remember, just the deadline to submit for the 5-star is January 20th, 2023. So this is a year-long process. The 5-star plan is a year-long plan. And even for those chapters that have hit that 5-star every year, it restarts every year. We're going, okay, we ready to hit the next level? Are we going to get involved in this? And sometimes when we're near the end, we see that 5-star and that's our final push to keep going. And so really recommend planning ahead for this. And everything that I've just presented to you is from that poster of the 5-star level. And so I'd really recommend you print that out and share it with your chapter, or even just send it to your chapter so they know what they have to do. Okay, so competitive edge. So competitive edge is one of the edges one of the professional development courses that Phi Theta Kappa offers. I would say if you're going to get any of the edges and you only want to get one, or you only want to spend a little bit of time on getting one specific one, this would be the one to get. This one is a very general one that focuses on a lot of different soft skills that you can use for your educational and professional life. So I don't believe we have time to watch this video, although it used to be called the 5-star competitive edge. Now it's just called a competitive edge. And I'll be going into some of the details, but the link to this video can be found on YouTube, and I'll also be sending it out with the presentation. So the purpose of the professional development courses is to enhance your marketable skills to make you competitive for scholarships, transferring, and careers. What does that mean? It means when you're going into an interview, it's not just another name on a resume that did this or got this degree. You're a person that completed a competitive edge in order to enhance your professional development skills to make you stand out from everyone else that's stepping into that interview room. So when it comes to these, why should you participate? Well, you're developing soft skills. Not only does it look good on your resume, but also you can take these skills and carry it into when you go into an interview, when you go into an application, you can say, I did this, I have these skills and I completed this course. So here's a quote. It's easier to hire people who can write and teach them how to read financial statements rather than hire accountants in hopes of teaching them how to be strong writers. So you're essentially gathering all these skills to make you stand out as a competitive applicant for whatever you're applying for. And those skills can be reused at a lot of different places, different scenarios, different circumstances. These are not skills that will become obsolete. So the topics that they focus on are think, grow, connect, collaborate, and perform. And I'll go into detail on exactly what they mean, but just know that those are the names of the modules. So the competitive edge can be found on the ptk.org benefits professional development courses. There you'll find the link to all the edge courses, not just the competitive edge, but scroll down to the competitive edge, log in with your member ID, and then you can go ahead and take the course. It is self-paced. It's open to advisors and alumni. And if you have only a little bit of time a day, set aside to watch the videos, set aside to read the PowerPoint. It does not take that long. I would say maybe each module took, it only takes a really short amount of time. If you could probably do it in one sitting if you wanted to. But it's essentially videos that are, that they found that they feel help develop these soft skills and the PowerPoints that they've created. And so not a really big, time commitment, I would say, but a good thing to add to your resume. So the components include, as I had mentioned, readings. And when I say readings, I don't mean like essay readings, it's PowerPoint slide readings. There's videos, quizzes, activities to practice your skills, and a personal reflection journal that is up. Well, actually, the personal reflection journal, I think, is on your own. You can kind of take notes if you want and take highlights of what you think are really important, but really it's reading the PowerPoints, doing the videos, and doing the quizzes, which are short. I believe there are only 6 questions for each module, and there's around 4 to 5 modules. And then for each module you complete, you get a virtual badge. So here are the topics that they cover. I won't be going into too much depth into them because you can learn more about them when you open the Edge, and they'll be kind of talking about, they have, I think, introduction videos for each one. I've completed the Edge before, it was just a little while since I have, but the topics are critical thinking. Some of the ones from Connect are like communication, presentation, how to overcome speech anxiety, dealing with conflict, adaptability, mental health. So all of these are all very general topics that you can use in a lot of different settings. That's why I said when it comes to doing the PTK edges, this is the one I would recommend if you only have time for one. Of course, there's other edges like the research edge, and last announced at Catalyst, the advocacy edge is coming up. But for research edge, that would be really helpful if you're doing honors in action. If you're in healthcare, they believe there's a healthcare edge that's new. So do the edge that you find specific to your skills. But if you want a big, strong resume builder and something that can help you in the job search and as a professional student, this would be the one I would recommend. So competitive edge recognition, there's virtual badge of completion. So they send you an email like, hey, you've completed this, congratulations. This will enhance your letters of recommendation when you're asking your professors like, hey, I've completed this edge as well. When you're writing your own resume, you can add this like, I've completed this professional development course by Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, and you have the opportunity to purchase the competitive edge pin. Something that I like to tell people when they're writing about their accomplishments is I find that a lot of people, they kind of, I see a lot of things in the chat. I'm worried if you guys can't hear me. Okay. All right. So one of the things that are on the competitive edge or like any of these Phi Theta Kappa resume builders is, I feel like you guys need to brag a little bit more about yourself. Tell people like, hey, I'm part of Phi Theta Kappa, the only official honor society for 2-year colleges. I completed this professional development course. I have skills. And really sell yourself, because that is what differentiates you from all the other applicants. So here's the competitive edge pin. If you completed your competitive edge, we do pinnings at regional conventions and conferences. So we have our Professor Adada, Sal Adada, who does pinnings for the competitive edge completion, and would really recommend, because this is a neat little thing that you can put on your outfits, and your, like if you have a medal, you could put that on the little ribbon of the medal. They look really nice. So as I had mentioned, when you're doing these development courses, creating your career development plan, you're creating a clear path to your dream job. You can focus on your education, you can increase your chances of scholarships, your future job outlook, expected salary or working conditions, internships, people resources. This is essentially you're investing in yourself so that later in the future, this will be more in line with what your goals. So final remarks and Q&A. We made it on time. We made it with 2 minutes to spare. I talked really fast. Don't worry, the recording will be sent out as well as the PowerPoint. If you have any questions, you may stay afterwards. We will be here to answer any questions. If we do not know the answer to your question, we will refer you to someone who does. But we are at time, so this would be the conclusion of our event. And so if you have any questions, feel free to stay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Sounds exciting.
Again, if you have any questions, please feel free, specifically for any of the topics that we discussed today.
I just wanted to say you guys did an awesome job. You have a lot of material to cover, and I was taking notes and I slipped behind. So I'm glad you're sending out a copy of the slides. And so I think maybe other people might be in that boat. So yeah, sending out a copy of the recording and the slides is an awesome idea.
Yep, thank you. I'm actually going to end the recording right now because I don't see any like major questions that, but thank you all for joining us.